Shayna, I did that in custody arraignment on Danielle McNeese. However, I couldn't find a spot where Luke was scheduled to be here. Michelle showed me a way to do it with a bunch of complicated steps. And I didn't do it that way. I just looked for him. I'd like to get this set for sentencing even this week if we could. All right, why don't you come on up?
Okay, yes.
This isn't a good use of our time. You show up late. I sit here like an empty suit for 18 minutes, along with everybody else in here, waiting for you to talk to your lawyer.
I apologize.
And that puts us behind on the next 5 cases, and we've been sitting here staring into space, waiting for you to consult with your lawyer. This should have been done in advance. At any rate, let's address it. To it. Here it is on the bottom. This is the matter of Peoples Daniel Adam Joseph Zeringe, or Zering, is how you say it?
Zering.
Zering. He's here with his lawyer, Mr. Paul Gibson, also present as Assistant Prosecuting Attorney Angelique Camfield, and Autumn Kiefer, who prepared the pre-sentence investigation report in this matter. Defendant was charged with retail fraud in the first degree. The matter was reduced to a retail fraud second degree. The defendant had so much going on, I referred the matter for a pre-sentence investigation report, and Ms. Kiefer has prepared the report for us. Mr. Gibson, what would you like me to know?
Mr. Zering indicates that he recently started a job at I think it was AIA in Syracuse, Indiana. He indicates, I think he's been there approximately how long?
About a month.
A month. The defendant would like to note that it said in the report that he committed 3 of the offenses in other counties when he was out on bond in this case, but from what I can see, he was arrested on this case in July of this year. And so some of these offenses may have happened after this incident, but I don't believe he had actually been arrested on this incident. So I don't know it would be right to say that he was on bond. But as far as the case goes, the defendant has served lengthy jail or prison sentences in the past. He indicates that after this incident that he's been trying to, get clean and sober, and he's been working on that, and he says he's been doing well. And he indicates that, he was stealing here because he was trying to support a drug habit. And so he's asking this court to consider fines and costs, or if it's a jail sanction, a shorter jail sentence. And Mr. Zering does have court. He says that this can be verified, that he has court tomorrow in one of the Indiana cases. He says it's not the type of court date where he's expected to go to jail afterward. So he's asking if the court does sentence him to a jail term in this case, that he'd be permitted to check into the jail after he attends his court hearing in Indiana tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Camfield, what's your thought?
It does appear that there is a period of time from at least April through July of 2024 that entails and encompasses not only our offense, but all of the purported offenses in Indiana as well. I can note that while we were waiting, I did look up the level of offenses for these Indiana charges, and it does appear like several of them are what they call a low severity felony 6 level. So there, I suppose, is a potential that if there's a resolution of some of those cases to a felony offense, he could face pretty lengthy jail or prison in Indiana on those cases. I know the prosecutor down there, if they were all the same county, would probably make a package offer, but unfortunately, they're all different counties. So I'm not sure what he's going to be facing there. I do see throughout the history that was reported in the PSI that by Ms. Kiefer, that there has just been a long going battle with addiction for this defendant. He has gone to prison and abstained from use. Hopefully, things weren't available there, but he claims that he was sober while in prison for these long terms, but then when he got out, started using again. So that is a concern. I'm glad that he is claiming to be sober at this point. And hopefully he's, as the court often says, tired of being tired and addicted. You're always going to have an addiction, but at least you can live a sober life and be productive. He's trying to go towards that, but we still have these offenses from last year that have not been dealt with. I think a jail term as recommended by Ms. Kiefer is appropriate in our county because any probation that would benefit him, I think, would have to be out of one of the Indiana cases where he resides and is working. And I just think appropriate supervision would be there in his state of residency rather than here. I suspect driving here this morning is what made him late from Indiana. I think that the recommendation is appropriate. There was over $1,000 stolen here, according to the report. He did state in his pre-sentence that a lot of that was food, but it appears that there were also other items that were not, that he was going to sell to support purchasing drugs. So I think the rec's appropriate and would ask the court to follow it.
Ms. Kiefer, your report kind of stands for itself. You're recommending 30 days in jail. The items that he took were regular stuff: toothpaste, mouthwash, cat food, mattress, and then some things maybe that could be sold. Captain Crunch. Boat accessory light, water. It looked like he's going camping. Stainless steel flask, some other stuff, but mostly food and health and beauty items. Mr. Zaring, what's your input here?
I just very regretful for the bad decision I made, and all these other charges I got were all around the same time, and I was just struggling at that time and just made poor decisions. And with the 8 months that I had served due to violating probation in Whitley County due to catching those charges, really let things sink in at what age I'm at, and the decisions I've been making, and just a huge amount of regret and remorse for not just what I caused to myself, but for others in my life as well that love me. And I'm just praying that the court considers probation, and I wouldn't have a problem driving up here. I know I was late today and I apologize for that, but a lot of these other counties that I'm going to court for in Indiana are also talking about giving me probation. So I was just hoping that I can get a chance to be on probation and continue working at my job, and just continue proving myself to be a productive citizen. That's it.
All right. This was very clever. I don't want to say what you did because I don't want to give other people ideas. I haven't seen this before. You walked in like you owned the place. There's videos of you walking in your champion t-shirt, picking out all this stuff, duping the clerk and walking out with $1,000 worth of stuff. You drove up here to steal. Some of it was, I guess you could have sold it, but some of it was just stuff you need, a mattress, mouthwash, cat food. You just were doing your stealing and you thought you were so smart, you got away with it. And you walked out of there thinking you did get away with it. The other Walmarts connected our Walmart. I don't know if they checked Three Rivers. And there you were, and then you got arrested on this warrant. Well, you're not quite as smart as you thought. I don't want you on probation. You don't live here. You don't work here. I'm not gonna fix it. I'm gonna leave it to those jurisdictions. But this was a felony of some consequence as a habitual. You brought your crime to our community and thought you outsmarted everybody, but I guess you didn't. I'm gonna order 33 days in jail, credit 3, leaving 30 days to serve. The fine is 0. I'm even waiving your attorney fee. There is $1,100 restitution to Walmart.
Can he check
He
himself?
can go to jail right now. I'm not gonna dink around with losing him to the state of Indiana. You earned this. You came up here and poked us in the eye thinking that you were smarter than everybody else, but I guess not. You owe $1,225 by the end of the year. You always may have enough money to post bond. You posted bond in all these jurisdictions, including a $2,500 bond here. I don't think it's likely we're gonna get this money. I think you're gonna end up in jail or prison in one of these counties in Indiana. This scam worked pretty good until it didn't. Do you have a car here?
Yeah,
You have to call somebody.
well, I have a friend out in the door, but he didn't come in, so I needed to have somebody let him know.
All right, we'll let him know. You tell the bailiff where the car is and they'll let the guy know. All right, you're good to go. I don't want to say what he did, but what he did was very clever. Thank you, Autumn. So, Mr. Gibson, Miss McKay wants to talk to you. For what it's worth, she has 14 days jail credit. We have no victim input. And my contemplation was to give her time served. She has discussed the fact that she wants to withdraw her plea and maybe go back to have a felony conviction, but she can speak with you and then we'll take care of Mr. George's cases. Well, Mr. George, you got the next couple. We are actually almost on time. Let's start with Keyshawn Rhodes. This is file number 251111SD. Good morning, sir. All cases are different, but similar. Mr. Rhodes is charged with operating while intoxicated, was reduced to operating while impaired. One of the factors, and I've been commenting on this, we've become desensitized into high blood alcohol levels. It's like, oh, but everyone today is quite drunk. This is a point 197. Off in a ditch out where I drive every day. I think Mr. Friesine did this one and he's still on his trip, but we do have a screening report.
I think this one was Matt.
Oh, Mr. Huff. Is Matt here today? All right, maybe he's- all right. Yeah, it is Matt. All right, Mr. George, what would you like me to know?
Well, thank you, Your Honor. I'll start by saying I've got 3 clients today, all for operating on intoxicated cases and a lot of similar situations. So I apologize in advance if I say a lot of similar things. But Mr. Rhodes is still young, not much of a criminal history, if at all. And as the court may remember, this was a situation where he was down here in St. Joe County for a baby shower. There was something that happened there. He tried to get back to Kalamazoo and obviously didn't get all the way back. But as bad as it was, it could have obviously been much worse. And we're very fortunate that Mr. Rhodes is here to talk to the court today, and nobody in the public was hurt. Mr. Rhodes does have gainful employment, so Summit Polymers in Portage. And the baby shower has now produced his second child. And he's excited about, his family continuing to grow. But I think having those children makes him realize, these are the types of situations that he doesn't want to put himself in anymore. And I think he was upfront honest with Matt, told him that, here's the truth, the ugly and all. So I think Matt has done a really nice job at crafting a recommendation. I think it's appropriate based on my client's lack of criminal history, the circumstances that bring him in front of the court, and I think it addresses all the needs. So we ask the court to adopt the recommendation.
Here's Mr. Huff. Ms. Canfield, do you have any input on this one?
Your Honor, I haven't had an opportunity to review a report. If I may have a moment.
All right, well, let's hear from Mr. Huff. I can tell you my concerns on this, several. He was way drunk. He's a regular marijuana vapor, and he's vaping marijuana in addition to this. He's got booze all over in his car. Buzzball, Johnny Bootlegger, Don Julio Tequila, and Fireball are laying all over where his car hit the tree. Plus he hit a tree. He was gonna drive all the way from Sturgis to Kalamazoo in this kind of shape. THC'd out 2.5 times the legal limit. 4:30 in the morning, he hits a tree. He's fortunate he got an offer to impaired driving. This is very irresponsible, immature behavior for someone that has 2 kids. So that's my concern. Bad alcohol, lots of marijuana, all kinds of open booze in his car, and very bad judgment. So those are my concerns. Mr. Huff, you wish to speak to that further?
Yeah, I'd say, just in summary, I think that Mr. Rhodes had a bad night. I think the context matters in this situation. He claims that the alcohol in the vehicle was not from that incident, that he was consuming.
And I'll assume that, but he's driving, it was from some other incident, and he just leaves it all in his car, and then it comes out when he crashes into a tree.
He indicated he had a baby shower earlier that day. There was some alcohol consumption there with family. And then this was a situation where he indicated his intent was to stay in Sturgis. He got into a situation with it where he wasn't getting along with his girlfriend. They were in some sort of an argument. And then given the fact that he was already severely intoxicated, he made the wrong decision to drive home rather than just to stay back there. So given his age, I think while it doesn't, take away the aggravating circumstances by any means, this is something that is unfortunately relatively common. Get somebody who's in this sort of situation to make a bad decision. And we're fortunate that things didn't end much worse, where somebody lost their life, either Mr. Rhodes or somebody else. As the court's already stated, this is an opportunity for Mr. Rhodes to look at this situation and learn from it. He has 2 children. He has a girlfriend that he's been with for a significant amount of time, and he's got a good job up in Portage rather. So this is a time, I think, where a probation would be appropriate, even though he's not in our county. I think that a timeout from alcohol or perhaps even marijuana would be good for him, clear his mind and help make some better decisions so that he can get to the next stage of his life. Yeah, you already mentioned the aggravating case factors, so I'm not going to bring those back up, but obviously there were a significant amount of aggravating case facts in this one.
All right, Mr. Rhodes, I'm going to give you the last word, but before we get to you, see if Ms. Camfield has any additional input.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Matt, did you get a driving record? I don't see one in the
I have
file.
a driving record, Your Honor, and I was just gonna state that for the court. The history shows probably around a 2022 driving without a license or endorsement, and then a speeding 70 and a 55 at a later date. So no priors, which I suspect is why there was an offer of impaired here, even given the high level of intoxication. I will note the laboratory reports show that not only was he at a 0.197, but he also had marijuana in his system that was still metabolizing, which would indicate to me that he was most likely high as well as intoxicated with the alcohol. So that's, as the court's already stated, and Mr. Huffman, very concerning. I think Mr. George also has recognized that this could have been much worse for his client. We could be here in a different situation. So it's fortunate for his significant other and his children that he's still here. I frankly think that the deferred jail should be served immediately prior to a probation starting, and it should be scheduled on a weekend so he doesn't lose his employment. But I think he should check into the jail on a Friday night and leave on Monday morning so that he has an idea of what potential penalties could be if he violates his probation, if this court puts him on one and orders no alcohol and marijuana consumption. I think the rest of the recommendation is supported, and I ask that the court follow it.
All right, Mr. Rhodes, you get the last word. What would you like me to know?
Oh, yes, Your Honor. I would just like to say that this entire situation has already been a big wake-up call for me, and I'm very remorseful and grateful, and I fully recognize that I put other people at risk in my life as well. And I just want it to be over, and I'm ready to be better.
I guess can't ask for more than that. I don't want you to put you on a probation to set you up to fail. I don't think you can stop smoking weed. And it's going to be a big difficulty for you to do this probation. I tend to agree with Ms. Camfield. You deserve a jail sentence. There's a presumption, even in drinking driving cases, that there is no jail. That wasn't my idea. That's the state legislature and the Criminal Justice Reform Act. But I've overcome the presumption by your high blood alcohol level, the fact that you were also using marijuana, the fact that you hit a tree, the fact that you're going to drive all the way from Sturgis to Kalamazoo in this kind of shape. And apparently on other occasions, you just drink whatever you're drinking and leave it in your car. No wonder you and your child's mom got in an argument because you were way drunk. I'm gonna just order 3 days jail, credit 1, leaving 2 days to serve, which can be served on the weekend, scheduled by the probation department. I'm not gonna put you on a probation because I don't think you can do it. So the other option is just give you more jail. And that's not going to answer it. If a weekend in jail doesn't give you a wake up I don't know what does. $300 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee, a $100 screening fee, $150 attorney fee. $255 police reimbursement. And I'm gonna order the victim impact panel, which is $32. Let's add all that up. Can't be right. 300 plus 125 plus 100 plus 150 plus 255 plus 32 is 962. I don't believe I have any bond money here. This is all money that goes away from your family. Matt suggested a timeout, and that's what we do. You're gonna need to just give yourself a timeout. I'm gonna give you until the end of the year to pay that $962. You're also gonna attend our victim impact panel. You can do one in Kalamazoo. They've got them there too. You're gonna have a weekend in jail to think about it. What are you doing this weekend?
I could probably most likely just get over it this weekend.
All right, we're gonna begin at 7 o'clock Friday, September 26th. He'll get out at 7 o'clock Sunday. Your driver's license is gonna be restricted, so at least you'll be able to get back and forth to work.
Your Honor, I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you want him to attend St. Joseph County Victim Impact Panel? Or are you okay with him attending?
I'm okay with him attending a Kalamazoo one if you can find one. Friday, 9/26/25 at 7 p.m. Report to jail for a weekend. Hopefully this will be enough to make you realize how lucky you were they didn't kill yourself. But you're gonna spend this weekend in jail to think about it. You go downstairs with Mr. Huff and he'll talk about the victim impact panel and the rest of what you need to know regarding the jail. Your fine is due before the end of the year.
Thank you.
Your Honor, you start with judgment.
I do, let me give it to you.
Thank you.
You can have that one too. All right, Mr. George, what does your client want to do? I mean, Mr. Gibson?
I believe she will be, is okay being sentenced today.
All right. Well, let's stay in our drinking driving mode here. Zoe Lynn Parker. Good morning. Mr. Rhodes was filed 1111. You were 1112. I think you both got arrested on the same night, June 11th. Must have been a busy night. You also were charged with operating while intoxicated, and the matter also was reduced to impaired driving. something occurred to me while I was reading this pre-sentence that what's your mom's name?
Heather. I'm sick right now. I'm sorry. I have a
All
sore
right.
throat, but her name's Heather Bradley.
Yes, that's our Heather Bradley.
Oh, I'm aware.
All right, I didn't figure it out as I'm reading it. I thought, holy smokes, I spent a lot of time with your mom
I'm aware.
and I liked her. And she's in a bad relationship and she had a bad alcohol problem and she was at
Yeah, she does.
what?
She does, yes, yes.
Well, she did a good job when she was in my sobriety court until she didn't. It ended up going back up to Judge Stutzman and she did a significant amount of jail time.
Mhm.
But she is a good person who has an alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
She's still struggling with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't want to inherit it. And you, guess what? You
No,
did.
definitely not, no.
You did. But apparently Autumn realized that I didn't. But again, we're lackadaisical about our high blood alcohol level. This one's 0.20. She's 26. Mr. George, what would you like me to know?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I think the court's kind of started the conversation that I was gonna begin here. And Zoe's in a situation, as the court's seen many times, where there is a family history of substance abuse. And unfortunately, she has been dealing with that herself. This is a situation where I believe mom was involved,
Yeah,
where
that's
she was
the
over
whole
trying
reason
to
why I was
help
over
give a
this way.
ride, and, you know, it was an ugly situation on its own, but obviously it could have been uglier. Zoe does have 2 children that she cares for. She also is employed as a receptionist over in Branch County. And I think based on Zoe's history, not only family history, but some of the history she's been through, I think Autumn, you know, recommending a probation is appropriate. I think Zoe could benefit from services, whether it's education, whether it's specific individual counseling or treatment on top of that. Because she is young enough where, you know, as the court knows, if you're dealing with these types of issues, it's not like it's something that goes away. It's how do you effectively deal with that when life struggles or certain situations come about. And I know that she wants to be, you know, a better mother for her kids and not put herself or her kids in this type of situation. So the only thing that we would ask is if the court would consider to defer the 1-day jail. Other than that, I think the recommendations are appropriate. We'd ask the court to adopt it. Thank you.
Ms. Canfield?
Your Honor, I agree with the recommendation and think that it should be followed. I do see that with 2 parents who struggle with addiction, obviously that was passed down to Miss Parker, I believe, probably genetically as well as behaviorally. What's concerning here is it looks like there were several opportunities at which she could have declined additional alcohol and chose to consume more when she was going to be driving again. So we do think that the recommendation for probation is appropriate and a day of jail to be scheduled with 2 others that would remain deferred. She's struggling and she's admitted that she's used controlled substances previously as well until she found out she was pregnant, and we don't want abstention from alcohol turning into someone turning to other substances in place of that. So I do think that supervision is appropriate.
Let me ask a minute. What is Consume? Is it a provisioning center?
Yes, yeah.
All right, so do you also use marijuana?
No, I stopped since I knew I was gonna get on probation.
All right, so had you been using marijuana that night?
No,
Or that day? Had you smoked earlier that day?
no.
There's no indication of it, but when you work at a marijuana store, I presume that you're a marijuana user. That may be a leap of faith.
Occasionally, yes, but not a day. I have kids, so like, it wasn't like I don't want my house smelling like it, or, you know,
All
so.
All right. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Campfield, because I was wondering whether there was an underlying marijuana
Mhm.
current here or not.
And that, there were other just harsher substances, methamphetamine and cocaine were tried when she was younger. I don't want her turning back to one of those if she's not consuming alcohol any longer as a coping mechanism, especially with the children. So I think that the recommendation is appropriate and ask the court to follow it. This was a very high blood alcohol.
Once, a long time ago, when I was still prosecutor, I did a deep dive into the years drinking, driving cases. And I was surprised at how many first offense had an MIP prior. Ms. Parker's got 3 of those. And so the alcohol problem starts to show itself before they're even old enough to drink it legally. Ms. Kiefer, anything else you'd like me to know?
I think this court is fully aware of her parents, their addiction. She comes by it. Unfortunately, she can't help it, but we need to stop it the best we can.
I'd like to hear that her mother was doing better. I spent a lot of time with her and you weren't here yet. It was Gina, but you were aware of her. Nice lady. She called me once over the weekend on the phone. She called me at home, which really you aren't supposed to do, but I talked to her at some length that day and she was struggling. And she just couldn't get over the hump. I'd not like to see that for you. You got 3 MI and you're all drinking like it's just an everyday thing. The neighbor's drinking, your mom's drinking. It's like, well, and again, this could have been a lot worse. What would you like me to know? Now you're a mom, you got 2 kids. The last guy, I kind of gave him a hard time because he's out doing this stuff instead of home taking care of his kids. What do you want to tell me?
I apologize for that night. I think it could have went very differently, but, yeah.
Where were you going?
So I tried to take her home, but she couldn't go home. And then I went to her neighbor's house. When I left, I don't even know where I was going or why I was driveway. But then I drove back. I looked on my little, I have like a GPS thing for my insurance or whatever, and it tells me where I go. And I just drove for 3 minutes, so, and then I drove back. So I don't know.
Well, I think this is worth a probation. And your mom's not doing you any favors. I'm gonna follow Autumn's recommendation, including the day in jail as a wake up. Again, there's a presumption of no jail. Here, we have very high blood alcohol level. You have 3 prior convictions for minor possessing and consuming alcohol. And if otherwise, the facts are bad. So I'm going to order a 24-month probation, which means you can complete it in 12 months. I'm going to order 4 days jail credit, 1 leaving 3 days to serve. And of the 4 days, 2 are deferred. So the other day is going to be scheduled by the probation department. We're going to do some drug and alcohol testing. at least a couple times a month. It's expensive. Substance abuse counseling and treatment as recommended. I want you also to attend the victim impact panel. Do the children each have the same dad?
No,
Are the dads involved in the kids' lives?
no. So Cyrus's dad, he's not very mentally competent, I feel like. He's schizophrenic, so and then my daughter's dad, he just, yeah, no.
Well, you don't want to visit this on your kids. Your mom's mom gave it to her. She gave it to you. Your kids don't deserve to be on this path. $300 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, $50 state minimum fee, $100 screening fee, $150 attorney fee, $960 probation oversight fee. Autumn, I don't see a police reimbursement in
I
here.
did not have it.
Do you have one, Ms. Camfield?
I don't see one in the file on ours. Let me double check.
And again, this is money away from your family, but so is alcohol. The cost of booze is gonna be less than the cost of this probation.
I don't see a request, Your Honor, although I do
All
note
right.
it was a blood sample. So.
$1,667 could be reduced by $480 or more if you complete the probation earlier. That's 2 in 1 year. You're not to drink any alcohol or use any controlled substance, including marijuana, and that doesn't seem to be an issue for you. I wish I had been more successful with your mom. You resemble her. I wish better for her and I wish better for you, but you're gonna owe me a day in jail and I want you to try to work on getting out of this path you're on. Make it better for you and your kids. All right, Ms. Parker, I want you to go with Autumn and she'll get you plugged into what you need to do for this.
Thank you.
All right, thank-
Thank you, Your Honor.
all right, Mr. George, let's do Tommy Willis. Good morning, Mr. Willis.
Morning, Your Honor.
This one was done by Daniel, I think, yep. Here we go again. 0.192 blood alcohol level. This gentleman's in the Army Reserve. And he may also have inherited the alcoholism gene. Mr. Willis, what would you like me to know?
Yeah, it was a real struggle for a long time. I started going to AA meetings and I have them all logged in this planner here. It's helped me a lot. And I saw the good, the bad, the ugly of experienced individuals as alcoholics, and how they've turned their life around. And it's been a real inspiration, especially from my father. As I told you before, he's in sobriety court. He's actually graduating tomorrow.
Are you coming?
I mean, I can try, but I mean, I'll be at work most
All
likely.
right. Well, I knew of you. I knew he had 2 kids, 2 sons,
Son and a daughter.
a son and a daughter. Then his girlfriend had 2 kids that he had to get out of the house. Um, and he has done a great job. As he's done a great job. He's been a role model to others. Has he taken you to meetings?
Yes, he goes to the meetings here in Centerville. He drives right by my house to go there, so he'll pick me up and take me there, but I've also gone individually to other meetings. So,
All right, well, that's good to know. Mr. George, what would you like me to know?
From the very first time Tommy called my office, he's obviously taken this really seriously. I think that's indicated in Dan's report. It seems like right at the time that the police arrived, he was upset because he was thinking about, his wife and his daughter. So there was that reflection, but as Tommy's already, mentioned a little bit, there is family history here too. And, we spoke a little bit before and he hasn't told me this, but, my sense would be that, this was maybe the lifestyle that he had been living for a little while and, a circumstance came up, he drove when he shouldn't have. And, it was a big wake up call for him. The silver lining is all we're dealing with is an impaired driving, but I think it has given him some insight into his family history, how that's affected him, but his also responsibility to address that on his own. And, as the court's well aware, Tommy is in the National Guard. He's kept his commanding officer advised of what's going on in this case. I'm not sure what the sanction will look like, but there is going to be some penalty there. So before you as an individual who I think is taking this very seriously because he understands, what's at risk for him if he doesn't get this resolved and have the tools that he needs to address this effectively. So I think a probation would be fantastic for him, get him additional education and information. And the AA is something that he had been doing on his own. I hadn't mentioned him to do that. That's something that he's done on his own. And maybe that's a bond that he and his dad can have, sober bond going forward and be supports for one another. So we'd ask the court to adopt the recommendation as we believe it's appropriate. Thank you.
Ms. Camfield?
Your Honor, this is another young individual who is addicted and dependent, and the parents have some import in that occurring because they too struggle with addiction. His father is doing better. I've seen him in the sobriety court meetings. I'm thankful for that because, as indicated by Mr. George, perhaps they can be supports for each other. But I also note, according to the report, that his father would often drink with them at home after school or work, which is not encouraging. So hopefully they can both make that change. I think the recommendation is appropriate, but I'm just very alarmed. I think the positives for him are that he's taken it seriously. He has gone to meetings of his own volition and he is employed. But this is the third young person this morning with high blood alcohol and an accident and children. It's a very, very bad curve for this community to be seeing not only himself, but other individuals placed in danger once again from an accident at a very high rate of speed. So, I struggle. I think the recommendation is appropriate for probation. He obviously needs the services and the support. The one thing I struggle with again is I think the other two individuals this morning, we had an upfront jail recommendation, even if only for a day or two. And I think that gives a great perspective to someone. If they violate probation, they start drinking or they start using another substance in its stead, they're going to end up with some additional jail penalty. I like to utilize that as an additional wake-up call, if you will, at the start of a probation term. And I think that would be appropriate here as well. That as opposed to there being any deferred, that there be another day or two served on a weekend, obviously, so it doesn't interfere with his employment. But I think an additional sanction is needed when there was an accident of this nature. It's unfortunate that he went off the road, but also somewhat fortunate in that he didn't strike the utility vehicle and kill somebody in or around it. or himself. So I just get very alarmed at these particular factual circumstances.
Well, they are an indication that you can't drive very
Mm,
far with a .19. This was in May 16th. And you can't drive very far when you're this drunk. The one guy was gonna drive all the way to Sturgis, I mean, from Sturgis to Kalamazoo. I forgot, where were you doing your drinking?
I was drinking at home.
And then where were you going?
I went to Mendon, to the Johnny's there.
To get some, a can of beer and a vape,
Oh, yeah, I got a vape.
and then you were gonna turn on and drive back?
That was it.
Why'd you go all the way to Mendon?
The power was out. It was that night it was the night of that big storm.
Oh,
we
yeah,
had in the middle
we
of May.
talked about that,
And,
yes.
yeah,
okay.
in Centerville, the Johnny's was out of power, so.
All right, what would you like to tell me?
This definitely has been a wake-up call. But honestly, I wish you were under better circumstances, but I'm glad this happened, because without this, I don't think I would have turned around the way I did. I've been sober for over 4 months now. I'm far more family oriented. There's nothing standing in the way of that now. No addiction or anything could possibly change my mind about how important my family is to me. I'm really grateful I can be there for them now. AA is a great support group. I expected to go in there and people kind of look at me funny, because of my age, thinking, hey, I've spilled more beer than you've drank in your lifetime. But they
There's
were very
that.
supportive. And they were happy to see.
How old are
personally.
you?
I'm 23, Your Honor.
We have trouble getting through to 23-year-olds. You seem to get it. It's a hard, now your dad, as Ms. Canfield said, I said, he's sick and tired of being sick and tired. He's got lots of bumps on his head and he's got life experience, and I hope he's done with it. When you're 23, you don't have enough bumps on your head. Plus, it's fun. It's fun to go out with your friends, and it's fun but it isn't fun when it stops being fun. Each one of these cases, because the people were intoxicated, they made bad decisions. If you were a little bit drunk, it's like, boy, I probably shouldn't drive down there. When you're 2.5 times the limit, it's like, I can drive. I need a smoke. And this is what happens. There was a woman there. There was a woman that they never identified. Do you know who that person was?
On the scene?
Yes.
Yes, my sister-in-law. I believe she was gonna try to come pick me up, but I stayed with my vehicle because I was ready to.
All right, so
Accept
you called
responsibility.
somebody to come get you?
I called my wife and she sent her sister.
I bet your wife was happy. Okay, so she wasn't in the car with you.
No, she arrived in her own vehicle to pick me up, but I stayed with my vehicle. I knew what I had done and I was ready to accept responsibility. I knew at that moment that nothing was gonna stop me from doing it again if I didn't speak to the sheriff that came and picked me up. And
Come pick me up, I've landed. Yeah, all these were bad. This is 40 yards into a cornfield. And these all happened within the same month and all got set for sentence in the same day. There are some estimates on how many drunk driving cases do not get arrested. They make it home. And manage not to hit anybody on the way, and the number's astronomical. There are also some studies about how many times people actually drove drunk before they actually got arrested for drunk driving. Those are frightening too. But there's literally hundreds and hundreds of other drunk drivers that don't get arrested. On any given night, there may be multiple people out. Throw marijuana in the mix and people are lawfully using marijuana. There's no indication of that here, but we've all got blasé about that too. You regularly and continually smoke marijuana and also drink, and that's like, anyway, as I indicated, you had bad judgment because you were drunk. You're in the National Guard, you got that going for you. There's gonna be a consequence. You've also got kids that you should be home with. And this is also gonna be money away from your family. They left you in jail for a couple days before they bonded you out, so you did 2 days up front. You were polite and cooperative with the officers, but you were drunk. And we discovered who the mystery woman was. I'm gonna follow Daniel's recommendation. If there is gonna be any jail time, it'll be because you don't comply with the terms of the probation. I won't hang any more over your head, but I'm gonna order 2 days, credit 2 days. 12-month probation, which could be discharged at the end of 6. You're gonna go to the victim impact panel. I'm not gonna order highway safety. Substance abuse treatment, AA. No drugs and no alcohol, and test as directed, including no marijuana. I don't think marijuana is an issue.
Can't do it in the reserves, Your Honor, so I have no problem with that.
Very good. Well, this is expensive. It was a $300 fine, $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee, $100 screening fee, $150 attorney fee, $480 probation oversight fee, police reimbursement of $255. And the victim impact panel is $32. But you will be able to keep your license. Do you drive vehicles in the military?
Oh, yes, Your Honor, I haven't offered to drive a vehicle since the
Well, this
incident.
would allow you to do that, but 300 plus 125 in state costs, $100 screening fee, $150 attorney fee, $480 probation oversight fee, $255 police reimbursement, plus $32. That's expensive, $1,442. If you complete the probation early, it could save you at least $240. I've got some hope here. I would be greatly impressed if you decide to be sick and tired of being sick and tired at 23. Instead of waiting 40 more years like your dad did. Again, as in all of our people, they're lucky they didn't kill somebody. These were all impaired, which I don't really have a big problem with. The impaired allows people to keep their license and get back and forth to work. The rules were different when I was young. I'd like you to take this form downstairs to the probation department. Any of the violations could result in additional jail time, but if you successfully do this probation, you can be discharged at the end of 6 months. Mr. Willis, 2 of my cases today were connected to parents I'd been working with. And as I told Ms. Parker, let's hope you can't pass this on to the next generation of your kids. So you go down to the probation department, they'll get you plugged in as what you need to do.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Miss McKay. I talked to the sheriff at the fair. He had a booth, and he's the kind of sheriff that has a booth at the fair. And will sit there and people will walk by and talk to him about things that are on their mind. But I just call him up if I had something on my mind. But anyway, he's doing a great job as our sheriff, and he's accessible and easy to talk to. He talked about how many fatal accidents we've had this year. Our law enforcement citation numbers are way up. Much more tickets have been written, much more tickets have been authorized by the prosecutor, a lot of drunk driving arrests. And in the first 6 months of the year, we had 14 fatal accidents through June. Last year altogether, we had 8. Between June and now, we've had about 8 more. So we probably had 20 fatal accidents so far, 20 deaths. Some accidents resulted in more than one death. And some of that's a factor of people driving around with very high blood alcohol levels. So let's change our theme here. This one does not have to do with alcohol and drinking and driving. It may have to do with alcohol, but doesn't have to do with drinking and driving. This is domestic violence. It started as assault with a dangerous weapon and was reduced to domestic violence second offense. The defendant is Jeannie McKay. She's here with her lawyer, Mr. Paul Gibson. I'd hope to get some input from the complaining witness in this case. I let Miss McKay out at the time of her plea and set the matter for sentencing. She didn't get in any more trouble, apparently. I'd hope to hear a little bit about maybe mental health counseling and get some input from the complainant. Mr. Bates apparently doesn't want to talk to us or provide any additional information. Mr. Gibson, what would you like me to know?
It's my understanding that the defendant and the victim are no longer together, and that, you know, it sounds like it was a mutual relationship where there was domestic violence allegations, I guess, that she had made against him. In this incident, she herself was, I guess, suffered a laceration to her leg. Apparently, after she hit him, he pushed her to the ground, apparently. So this was a bad incident all the way around. The defendant went straight to jail. It's my understanding that she served 14 days. The victim is not interested, I guess, in giving forth any input. He didn't ask for any services. He asked that they not contact him. So I'm not exactly sure if I'm thinking that if this court, if the 14-day jail sentence would not be enough of a penalty in this case, I would ask the court to consider probation. The defendant has a mental health history.
Actually, that's incorrect. I have a history of medical fraud. Yeah, big difference. Every time I tried to report crime, I ended up in the mental hospital.
Okay.
Not really my issue, but yeah, big problem, as a matter of fact. And so I've had issues with reporting crime since. There was no mutual relationship. This man had me trapped for 2 years. He lost me my jobs by stalking me outside my work. I was moving out of state when I ended up meeting him. And so, I mean, I feel like it's entrapment, generally speaking. I mean, and to be on probation in this state for another 2 years after I planned on moving years ago when he lost me my jobs, I couldn't get out of the state.
Do you plan to move now?
I would love to move. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to live somewhere
Well, where do
where
you live now?
I'm on Sandy Drive right now.
All right, with who?
I don't know what to do.
Well,
This
who
man
lives
is-
there?
He has destroyed, it's an old friend, but he committed suicide or whatever. I don't even know.
The friend, so you're living, who owns your house?
It's Brad Swoveland,
Brad,
and
he's not, he's deceased? All right, so you're in the house, but he's not there. Does anybody else live there?
mm-mm,
Do you pay any rent?
mm-mm.
They're probably gonna move to evict you. Well, Mr. Bates has got his own problems, and one of the problems had been methamphetamine. There's a pending bench warrant for his arrest right now, which may have to do with why he doesn't want to have anything to do with this.
I actually even contacted a DASIS shelter or the, sexual abuse shelters and domestic shelters prior to this, like 6 months earlier. And they wouldn't let me in. They said I didn't qualify. So it's like, been known to me why I can qualify for a domestic assault charge when I couldn't get into a shelter when I needed the help. Do you know what I mean?
I guess I don't have an answer to that, but so what's your plan? You can't stay in this place not paying rent. Do you have relatives or friends in another state?
I was planning on just moving out of the state because if I get put in mental hospitals when I'm trying to report crime, I don't feel like it's a safe place for me.
Well, there was the earlier incident in Three Rivers. This is a DV second. There was an earlier one.
That
which-
was the Jim Littlefield.
Yes, so that was also, there's a mental health.
It was
aspect.
actually, no, there wasn't anything in Three Rivers.
I thought it was over on like 7th Street or something.
Now that man is out of his mind. He said he was gonna sell me and I obviously protested. And when I told him I wasn't crazy because they were trafficking girls, he kicked me out of the house because he feels guilty, I suppose.
Well, that's a good house to get out of. Ms. Camfield, any additional input?
I'm concerned about, when I look at Mr. Bates's history, I see in addition to methamphetamine and multiple controlled substance convictions, a conviction for violence as well. I think that probably
Can I
if
say
she
one more
wants to
thing?
leave the state, I don't know that probation would be helpful. If she's reporting that there's been violence and sexual assaults against her that haven't been dealt with, that's concerning. And it's not very often that we see it, but we do see what we call reactive abuse occurring towards a perpetrator who has been longstanding abusing someone where the victim finally reacts.
Yes.
I presume that may have been the case here, according to what Ms. McKay is saying. I think possibly a short jail term or credit for time already served would be appropriate, and no probation, and let her move out of the state to a place where she feels safe.
Those are my thoughts. I know Mr. Bates. He's bound over to circuit court on a methamphetamine charge right now. He's got a pending bench warrant in my court, and there's some assaultive history, and it's hard to tell what was what. They made a choice to take her to jail. She was there for 14 days. She got no real ties here, and she's living in a odd circumstance. When did Mr. Swoveland die?
Like last November?
So you've been in there since November without paying any rent?
No, I haven't been there that long, but I don't know.
All right, well, I'm gonna give you 14 days jail credit, 14 days. 0 fine, $125 in costs. And I'm gonna give you until November 15th to pay that. You're free to leave the state. There's nothing here for you but heartache. Do you have any income? Do you get disability or anything?
I was working, but he He exhibited like stalking-like behavior outside of my work and I got
Where
fired.
did you work?
At the Saginaw Golf Course. I was gonna work as
Oh,
the
yeah, you told me that.
grounds crew and bartender, and then I got fired for the police vehicle.
All right, we'll give that to her. You're free to go do what you want,
Thank you.
but I would not recommend you have any contact with that gentleman.
Thank you.
But there's a mental health issue that underlies this, and I think unless you start to get some way to address that, you're gonna be right back in it. But I couldn't tell anything about drugs or alcohol regarding this. There's nothing in the report. They didn't show any blood alcohol on your booking sheet. I know that methamphetamine is an underlying theme with Mr. Bates. I don't know what we're dealing with, but 14 days, credit 14 days, you're free to go.
Thank you.
All right, that finishes our morning. We did all 5 sentences with 2 minutes to spare. Thank you, Ms. Canfield.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, that finishes our morning, which was a bit of some of everything. But I am concerned. The blood alcohol levels go up. There's marijuana in there. We had 3 near fatal accidents this morning. I don't know what the answer is. And the state legislature presumes that people will not get a jail sentence because that's.
All right, let's talk about that. This sentencing docket ran through 4 very different cases: retail fraud, drunk driving, and domestic violence, and the judge didn't hold back on commentary or consequences. First up was Daniel Ziringe, in for a reduced retail fraud charge. He tried to frame the theft as tied to addiction and bad decision-making, noting he'd been working and sober since. His attorney pushed probation, but the prosecutor laid out the bigger picture. Multiple pending charges in Indiana, over $1,000 stolen here, and a long cycle of relapse after prison stints. The judge zeroed in on the arrogance of the theft, walking in bold as day, taking items ranging from toothpaste to a mattress, and thinking he'd outsmart everyone. Instead, he got 30 days in jail, restitution, and a sharp reminder that he wasn't as clever as he thought. The run of drunk driving cases, each with a high blood alcohol level and family complications. Kashawn Rhodes was caught at nearly double the limit, THC still in his system, booze bottles scattered in the car, and 2 children at home. His lawyer argued he'd turned the corner after a wake-up call, but the judge wasn't convinced probation would work. Instead, Rhodes got a weekend in jail, fines, and a victim impact panel, a timeout designed to hit hard without setting him up for failure. Next war, another impaired driving case, but with added generational weight. A mother battling alcoholism, a family history of substance abuse, and 3 prior minor in possession convictions of her own. The judge recognized the pattern, tied it to her young children, and emphasized breaking the cycle. Parker was remorseful but scattered, unsure even where she was going the night she was arrested. She got probation, mandatory counseling, testing, a victim impact panel, and a short jail wake-up day, an attempt to steer her before her life mirrors her mother's. Tommy Willis, T stood out. At 23, an Army reservist with a father in sobriety court, he'd already started AA and was logging meetings. His accident could have been catastrophic, but he owned it immediately and leaned on his dad's recovery for guidance. The judge gave him credit for initiative and family support, but still handed down probation, fines, and required treatment. The underlying message was clear. At 23, he has a chance to stop the generational cycle early, but only if he takes sobriety as seriously as his military service. Finally, there was Jeannie Mecca, a domestic violence second offense. Her case was murky. She admitted striking her partner, but described years of stalking and abuse, and the victim himself didn't even show up. He had his own bench warrants pending. McKay served 14 days pre-sentence, and the judge credited her time, imposed court costs, and let her go without probation, effectively urging her to leave the state and get clear of a toxic situation. It was one of those reactive abuse cases where the court recognized she wasn't the only problem in the relationship. The overall courtroom atmosphere swung between chores and measured empathy. The judge was sharp with those who thought they could game the system, compassionate but realistic with those battling addiction, and pragmatic when it came to untangling messy domestic dynamics. In short, accountability with a dose of tough love. If you found this hearing insightful, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and letting me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one.